King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. Ball is life, and that's a fact. And a baller's life, about that exact. King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. There's a time to score and a time to assist. Ain't no I in team, let the winning commence. From generation to generation, game don't stop. The new and old school got the game on lock. It's all legendary, it's all necessary. We all been all-stars before February. And after that, King and Yates, after racks. But really trying to get some wins, not just padding stats. Two basketball lovers through happenstance. Built a bond that led to greatness that advanced.
BTG Nation, here we go, man. That right there is another one of those fire intros that we always have. Let's go ahead and show some love to our guy here. You know what it is.
You're so disrespectful.
No, that's the wrong one. I'm getting used to it. Hold on, here we go.
She done got serious.
Listen, they bridging the gap.
Oh, we
bridging the gap.
We recording during the day. We got the windows open.
They bridging the gap.
Now we got flies coming in and everything else. OG, what's happening, man?
Almost break time, baby.
Almost break time. Almost break time. It's like, it's really crunch time. It's 2-minute warning right here. Football reference for you folks out there.
Yeah.
Man, BTG Nation, what's up? We back here. What is this? Episode 5. We haven't even been doing the time in the episode numbers. This is late. Episode 5. So that means I believe we're episode 81. All right, 81. Okay. Big time action there. Get out of here, man. We might have to get Snipes to get a fly swatter and manage that. But here we are live from Dubai. You guys that have been with us for a while, you know what it is. Hoop Mountain DXB, hoopmountain.ae.
It's too late to close it now, man. Well, they in here.
Now you just got to wait for them to dip, man. You just got to wait for them to dip.
You might as well leave it open so we can feel the breeze now.
Yeah. It's beautiful out there too. Make sure
it's December in Dubai, man.
Yeah, make sure you get a picture of that there. You know what I'm saying? It looks nice, man. We've come a long way. Yeah, a long way. But like I was saying, Hoop Mountain DXB, hoopmountain.ae. As Coach said, the break that we're talking about is the break from Hoop Mountain. You know, we love you guys, but it's time to go ahead and recharge and get together. So how you feeling about that, OG?
I'm good, man. Anytime we start winding up the term, you know, it's stressful, but as you start nearing the end, you start to feel a little more relaxed. And know we got camp next week, and camp is always fun with us because we really get after it and we get more detailed, and we get the kids in there that really, really want to get better, and that that definitely touches our heart right there because they're gym rats, and so working with them for camp is not really work to me. And then after that, we get a good break for a couple of weeks, even though, of course, there'll be an hour or two of administrative work each day, but still, it's not the same grind that we have, during the term. So, yeah, I'm excited, man. I need this.
We've evolved, too, my boy. When you talk about camp, I just had the flashback. Look at the court right there. What does that remind you of?
That was
our very first camp.
In the gardens.
Yeah, that was different. Yeah. That was different. Yeah.
But unique.
The
kids enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it was something they had never experienced before because, there's multi-sports camps here, but we call it all sports. Yeah. And we really get after it in all sports.
Yeah.
And stuff that they've never done before.
Yeah. Don't change this one. I want to see what this looks like. Yeah. So now the thing is we're getting into this space and everything is so different here. It's not like the States. When it's time for basketball season or whatever your respective sport is, people really dig in and they get into action. They don't really take as many breaks, right? And so right now, we got people traveling, right? And they are traveling, and they're traveling to some cool places. A lot of our kids are going to come back from all over the world. A lot of them left last week. And so that's one of the things about being in a melting pot like Dubai is that some of the experiences that you pick up on, you get from some children sometimes because they become cultured. Kids going to Sri Lanka and all these different places. They had me adding them to my list over there. But and so OG, we got to set the tone. You know, today's episode is a little bit different because we've been running around crazy. And so we got to set the tone. We got to set that. I've been saying that every time we're about to play some music, but this one is real special. You know, we just had Chris Brown out here recently, and CB is coming back again, I think in 2 weeks to Dubai this time. And to, you know, VA holding it down. VA holding it down worldwide. You know, Pharrell is killing stuff everywhere. And so this mix today is to pay homage. You know, it's a little VA stuff, and we know our young bucks listening from our U16 and everything, and so we're gonna give you a lesson right here, and we're gonna bring you into the world of some of the greats from hip hop, from my era, from VA. And so, as always, let's get into the mix of the beautiful.
They bridging the gap. They bridging the gap. They
Man, shit, they got serious.
Come on, man. Did we do it again? Did we do it again?
That may have been the best one yet.
We didn't have some ones. But that one was, if you guys didn't catch it already, the VA homage there was to Mr. Pharrell himself. And obviously, just because of the 757 connection, of course, there's going to be a lot of Pusha and clips in there. But man, you talk about the range. Mr. Louis Vuitton himself right now, because he's head of the Louis Vuitton house. But look where he started, man. Look where he started. That's hip hop right there. King, how you feeling, man?
That's crazy. Now, you know, I go to Virginia Beach every summer.
Yeah.
And I sit there sometimes and looking at the water. I'm just, everything's so chill. And I'm like, how did this place breed Pharrell, Clips, Missy Elliott? You know what I'm saying? Like
Timberland.
Like it's crazy.
Timberland. And that's on one side, right? But you still got like, you know, Mike Vick. You know what I'm saying? Or Joe Smith. He's got the athlete side of it, and it's small.
But the athlete side of it, I understand because they're just everywhere.
Yeah.
When we talk about the hip hop scene, like,
you
if you think about it, you don't even know the origins of hip hop down there except them.
Yeah.
So I like to know, like, who did they listen to in that era, in that area? You know what I'm saying?
Skills.
Yeah, but he's with them.
Yeah, and then when I think about that too, would you add that in? Because D'Angelo from Richmond, right? And like that's legendary folks right there. Those like cornerstones of the music.
But you know,
that we grew up on.
People listen right, they don't know who Mad Skills is. You gotta
yeah.
They gotta look him up.
And he do a lot of ghostwriting.
You may have to like post something and just let the people in the UAE know who Mad Skills is.
Yeah, but we are in a place to where if anybody would appreciate somebody like him, it's the international crew.
Oh no,
right?
I'm not saying they wouldn't.
That's good.
I'm not saying they wouldn't love him. I'm just saying they don't know.
Yeah, because at home they don't really be knowing like they should either.
Right.
It is around the corner type of stuff. Yeah. But man, BTG Nation, you know how we have to always add it. As of late, we added a little energy for the audio listeners. So I know you guys that are on that ride to work, some of you riding home from work, we hope that we gave you a little splash, a little energy, man. But man, let's get into this. Let's get into the pod action for today. You know, I actually been having something that's been heavy on my heart as the last maybe 7-8 months for real, man.
What was that?
As you guys know, when we first got here, we talked about the car we were driving a lot. When I told you guys that know our origin story, you know that when Coach picked me up off from the airport the first time we got here, I was expecting the OG to pull up in a Dubai fashion, at least from what I knew Dubai fashion to be. And we had a Mitsubishi Lancer with the blade on the back and all red too, right? And the people were telling us that's like, middle class luxury out here, And so, we've been going all over the place with cars, man. I cannot tell you. I don't know where to start. Like we've been in all types of nonsense, man. It's been crazy, right? And so the best car I done had so far was a 2015 Altima. That was from a rental company. But that had its own issues of this thing. And so now I'm in a Kia Seltos or something. It's like a compact size SUV, right? And King, what you riding right now?
I got a 2023 Jack.
A Jack. Y'all know what a Jack is? Our listeners, do you know what a Jack is? Because we damn sure didn't.
I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm so bad. I still got plastic everywhere in there.
Listen, that's the one thing where I bring that up too, because as expats, when you get out of the country, right, it's things that you just don't think about sometimes. You talking about how easy it is to get a car. In America, it's so easy to get a car. I'm talking to one of the parents who was saying how even when he was there on a tourist visa, how he could just get a brand new car with no issues.
Yep.
He had a brand new whip, no issue, no problem. He said, here, we've been telling people, hey, we can't get car loans. Like we literally can't get car loans unless we go through some different hurdles and everything else. And then the auto loan, the car rental, that shit more than a brand new car. And they all got the same exact cars. Whatever come off the boat when they transport, everybody got the same thing. And they all charge them, man. But it's some new brands that we're getting introduced to here. And I don't know, maybe our listeners can help us with these things, right? And so you got your Jack car, right? And that's supposed to be a Chinese brand, right?
Yep.
So tell me, how has that been?
It's nice. It's nice. Of course, anything new with all the bells and whistles is nice. It's just like anything. And let me make clear, everybody understand this. When Coach is talking about the troubles we've had with cars, it's not belittling them in terms of like it's just the size.
Man,
we just need more leg room
and storage room, because you guys know basketball coaches from around the way, football coaches, whatever coach. They got a lot of equipment they got to lug around. And for us, I might not be able to see out the back of the rear view mirror because of that. And so,
like, if I had more leg room in the Jack, it'd be an awesome car. I just need more leg room.
Because you think about we drive kids around, we do all that different stuff. And so now this is where the history lessons come in. Now, the Renault, what's the name? The Haval, the Jack, the Chang'an. It's like 7 other cars I had never heard of. And I'm just, because we got a certain consumer bias, I was like, I'm never looking at anything outside of what I know.
I heard of Renault before.
Right? And Renault, I ended up seeing a documentary on Renault and Nissan because they're partners, right? And so I'm sitting here looking like, man, I don't want no parts of these things. But then, once we hit Dragon Mart the first time, and I started to see what the Chinese folks was working with, I was like, you know what? Because we're on this side of the world, this is really Switzerland. This is really the middle of everything. If you're in Dubai, you're going to get everything from Russia, from America, from China, anything you might not get anywhere else in the world. You're going to have every option of it here, and it's going to be the best options, too.
Man, you sound like a spoiled, entitled expat from the U.S. right now.
Hey, man, call it what you want. But I want a car that I know is going to be able to get fixed and going to last for a while. And let's be clear, that's not an American-made car.
Back home, you know what we go for? We go for
Korean,
Japanese-made cars.
Yeah, Korean,
Nissan, Honda. So
yeah, but that ain't Chinese though. Yeah, and they've grown on there, so that's been something that we've had to come across. Because I'm looking at it now, it's like, listen, that Chang'an looking like a Range Rover for 1/5 of the price, and I ain't mad at it, man. So, OG, have you been able to watch any highlights of basketball recently?
Not too many. Not too many.
Let me start the basketball.
I'm on college football still, so.
In fact, before we even get into basketball, let's go ahead and get into that. I'm glad you brought that up, the college football, because that's your bag, right? And so just recently, we've had the announcement of the college football playoff, and right now it's still 4 teams.
4 teams playing for the championship.
Playing for the championship.
Everybody else is in a bowl game.
Right. Everybody else is in a bowl game. And it was some controversy.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty heavy, pretty hectic. Florida State, undefeated season.
And that's one of my favorite teams of all time.
That's for me, I grew up Bobby Bowden fan and a Frank Beamer fan. And so I naturally went towards Virginia Tech, right? But I also love Florida State too, like Peter Warwick,
Deion.
But I'm older. I'm younger. So I ain't get
Warwick done.
Yeah, like those guys.
Charlie Ward.
Yeah, so it was good. It was good energy. And then Bobby Bowden, he just one of those, right? Those legacy guys. And so Florida State. How many other teams that got left out that felt like they had a reason?
Georgia and Ohio State, they all could have made an argument for it.
Yeah. Oh, Georgia now that's a tough one for Georgia too, because Georgia basically just that last game of the season.
Yep.
Did you in?
Yep.
You know, and so kind of break down what that looks like right now, what the playoff looks like, and then we'll get into what the controversy looks like.
The playoffs semifinals is going to be Michigan versus Alabama, and then the other semifinal will be Washington versus Texas.
So seeding wise, 1-4 is what?
1 is Michigan, 4 is Alabama.
And then 2-3 is
2 is Washington, 3 is Texas.
all right, man. And these those games played at the higher seeds home.
No, it's neutral sites.
Neutral sites.
Yeah.
Where the sites at this year?
I forgot which. I think one is maybe the Cotton Bowl and Orange Bowl. I forgot.
Okay.
But the always the most
weather.
prestigious bowls. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what are we looking at right here, King? What's your predictions going in before we break down everything? What's your predictions?
Michigan may get mollywopped against Alabama. It's going to be tough to beat Alabama with you don't really have a passing game. Like you're just not running the ball over. I mean, it's a different breed of athlete coming from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Just different. Texas Washington may be a shootout because they both like to put up a lot of points. And so very wet. Put it like this: I think the odds are on Alabama and Texas having a rematch. And think about it, rematch from earlier this year where Texas went into Tuscaloosa and beat Alabama. And then, remember, it's Nick Saban versus Sarkisian, like his former assistant.
Another one.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's gonna be a lot of drama.
So what's your prediction
Alabama.
for everything?
Yeah, Alabama. Yeah,
Not even close.
yeah. Man, listen, Nick Saban has I think 7 or 8 SEC championships in like 11 years, something like that. And then
From just Alabama.
yeah,
Yeah, because
he won one with LSU.
Yeah, yeah.
And then with the national championships, if he wins this, I think it'll be number 8 or 9.
Fact check that, Nick Saban.
But you don't want to give him 2 weeks to prepare. And the way they're playing right now, think about the coaching job he's done. Remember, the starting quarterback for Alabama right now was benched like game 3.
So the funny thing is, it'll be he's won 7 national championships.
At Alabama and one at LSU.
One at LSU.
So 7 total, yeah.
And so if I'm not mistaken, because right now Bill Belichick is he's having a rough time, right? And so a lot of people, are saying it's the Tom Brady effect, not having this and that. And it's a multitude of things, right? But of course, good stories is going to say Belichick is not winning because he doesn't have Brady, right? And to an extent, people were trying to start that conversation with Saban this year, right? And you point this out all the time. Nick Saban, he wins consistently, and every 3 years or so, he has a new coaching staff?
No, every year.
Every year.
So
I was giving 3 just to be gracious, but every year, there's new coaching staff.
Yeah, every year he has changeover in his coaching staff by 60%. Think about all of the, say the last 10 years, the offensive coordinators and most of the defensive coordinators are now all head coaches somewhere else. I mean,
and now and they're all great and winning at their spaces as well too, right?
Yeah.
And so when you think about that and you see Michigan's reaction, right?
That tells a story. I mean,
if you haven't, go look at the Young Bucks as they have announced the CFB, and look at Michigan's reaction. What was the reaction like, King? How could you put it into words?
Doom, gloom. Like, yeah, we were hoping for Florida State, and Florida State's tough, but without their starting quarterback, it wasn't gonna be a game. And I mean, listen, man. The way Alabama's playing right now, they went into Georgia, even though they were playing in Atlanta. Athens, Georgia is only like 45 minutes from Atlanta.
Right.
And so, you're thinking about like, they went in there, beat them for the SEC championship, and Georgia's loaded.
Loaded.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah, and it's tough for Georgia because now they not in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's terrible, man. And yes, Florida State should be outraged because they did go undefeated in the ACC. and they won the ACC championship. But all of the athletic directors, school presidents, and head coaches around the nation, it's your fault, because when the Final Four was decided upon a few years ago, you guys knew there were 4 spots and there's 5 major conferences.
Yep.
That's your fault.
Yep.
It should have been 8 to begin with, and then eventually going to 12. Then we wouldn't have these issues, because people say, well, you're still going to have controversy. Well, if you have the top 12, those teams don't get in, probably have more than 2 losses.
Yep.
So they don't deserve to be in.
So
You know what I'm saying? But
there's a lot changing because of this, though.
Yeah.
With the different conferences. And so I haven't been keeping up. And that's the only thing that's made it tough for me here, is that in our household, Saturday has always been college football. Mom Dukes loves it. I love it. She just finished texting me talking about, getting ready for everything. And she said the same thing you said. Alabama gonna wash through everything, right? And so, but we've always been in it. But now the conferences is gonna be so crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And shout out to Colin. Colin was breaking down to me how the Pac-12, and maybe there's only 2 teams left there. I'm not even sure. 2 teams left there. But how everything is going to be shifting and where the balance of power is going to be. Do you know, what is it about to look like?
All right. So it's right now, it's going to be, in the future, the immediate future is going to be SEC and Big Ten. And then everybody else gets the scraps.
And in the Big Ten, conference, and Snipes, look this up while Coach was breaking it down. I know what he was telling me, but it just sounded insane what he told me was going to be in the Big Ten, which would be like Ohio State, Penn State, and I'm not mistaken, some of those other teams from the Pac-12 is moving there as well.
I think USC and UCLA are going to the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, double check.
Because I think it's Texas and Oklahoma are going to the SEC, I think. Mm-hmm. So, the SEC is going to be crazy.
Insane. And so,
think about it. People are mad now, right, saying it's SEC bias. When it gets to 12 teams, it's still going to be SEC bias, because think about it. Right now, if there was 12 teams, it would be Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss would be in there, and Missouri.
Yeah.
So that's 4. You know what I'm saying? Think about it. Texas A&M is going to get – they're good. The USC and UCLA going to Big Ten. Texas, Oklahoma going to SEC. Yep. And so think about it. It's going to be the traditional powers. I know they have some up and down seasons, but we all know they're dangerous, because the SEC teams, even if they're down, they still have NFL talent on the roster. Florida, Georgia, Bama, Texas A&M, LSU. It's going to be Missouri, who's ranked now, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, and Texas. That's going to be crazy. That's going to be crazy.
Where's Texas Tech in this?
They're like the Big 12.
Big 12.
Yeah.
Man, listen. Does that affect basketball as well? Are those all sports going to that?
I'm not sure. Sure.
That is insane. That is going to be insane. They're going to make a lot of money, though.
Yeah. Because Big Ten, who's going to go? Ohio State,
Michigan.
Michigan are locks.
Yeah.
Penn State are going to be locks.
Yeah.
And then maybe Iowa.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it. Big 12 is going to be maybe Oklahoma State. Colorado.
Yeah.
Because I know people saying Deion only won 4 games, but if you go back and look at those games, with the exception of Oregon, which was their first primetime opponent on the road,
they could have won all of them.
They were in every game without their best players.
Yeah.
And then, we all know that their line is not that great.
Yeah.
So they're okay.
Yeah, and people are trying to say he's not going to be able to recruit and get certain guys.
Yeah, because he just lost 3 recruits the other day, right?
Yeah.
But then 2 days later, Alabama, Georgia, USC, Oklahoma, Texas, Florida State all lost kids.
Yeah. And we talked about this before, and it's going to happen in every sport. Well, the 2 main sports, basketball and football, right? Even though the highest paid NIL person is a gymnast at LSU, I believe. But basketball and football, since the beginning, recruits been getting paid, right, King?
Yep.
The blue bloods, like the 5-star, those blue top tier guys, they've been getting paid from the beginning, right? As you would say, they've been getting paid. You just had to keep it on the hush.
Yep.
Now we got a budget to pay you. So what's gonna happen, King? What's gonna happen?
We got to find it and add it later. Nick Saban predicted this.
Yeah.
He said, you guys want to open this up. He says, now the rich are going to get richer because they have more resources. So there you go.
What's that? You said Nebraska, was it? You said it was maybe Nebraska. He was talking to the donors.
Oh yeah, had Matt Rule at Nebraska was,
Yeah.
his postseason, meeting with the alumni and and media. Hey, a good quarterback in the portal currently costs between $1 and $2 million a year. And he's basically telling them, you want to upgrade in our offense, you got to raise some more money.
Listen, well, how much? Tell them, King. What's the budget for a good quarterback?
$1 to $2 million.
Man, what? Talk about it, man.
Like,
so,
and remember, you may have to put a little bit more on there because it's in Nebraska.
Yeah,
I don't know if you ever been there, man. It's cold out there, man.
What's crazy is Uncle Ro was almost about to head to Nebraska in the Big 12 job before he went to the NBA stuff. And the NBA is expanding into Kenya, I believe, or South Africa or something. Yeah. So they're stretching out, right? Yeah. But King, we're about to transition. Okay. We're about to do some basketball stuff. I got a clip here for you. A real inspiring one here for you. I know you love. Annalisa ended up sending it to me, but it's one that you sent me before too.
You ready for this? I probably shouldn't tell you this. We didn't have the tights that he wanted, so he didn't know if he wanted to play. Oh yeah. What? You heard it. We didn't have the tights that he wanted, that we've never had for him, and he decided, I don't feel like I can go. That's what young people do. Oh, yeah. I don't even know. But he figured it out in the second half. He accepted the fact that we didn't have the tights that we've never had for him. And he played well. Next.
Coach for Louisville, right? And so, King, I'll tell you this, King. A lot of people in the comment section are talking about he leaving his player out to dry. He's a terrible guy. I would hate to play for him. Like, all types of stuff is going on in that comment section right there, King. Now, he says, I probably shouldn't say this because he didn't want to say it, but he ended up saying it because he's probably itching. He's probably digging in at him, right? And so, kind of talk about what leads to that. What leads to that moment to where that player is the way he is like that, and what means to the coach having to react that way?
It's the players like that because and it's not the player's fault. It's the environment they grow up in playing basketball. Everything is being given to them. They're being catered to at a young age when you haven't earned anything yet. Just because you are the best player or one of the best players on a really good team and you're 13 years old doesn't mean everybody's supposed to give you everything that you ask for. You're supposed to keep, as they say back in the day, the carrot in front of you to keep you working hard to get to your dreams. You're at Louisville right now. You're close.
Gary.
You're one step away from being in the NBA or high level Europe or somewhere else overseas, but you're letting one little moment define who you are as a player. Mm-hmm. They don't have your tights. That's like, and people that comment and say that the coach is wrong. Well, look at this. 99.9% of the world has a job. Mm-hmm. You have to get up and go to work 5 to 6 days a week. Mm-hmm. And most times you work 8, maybe 10 hours a day. Who knows, right? Mm-hmm. There are going to be days where you don't have all the tools necessary to do your job, but you find a way to make it work to get through that day because that's your job. People are depending on you. And that's the thing. This kid, the team is depending on him. And you can see that the coach definitely needed him to play. And they didn't have your tights because maybe there was a mix-up with the managers. Maybe they didn't come in yet, the new ones he ordered, or whatever. But you just get through it. And I guarantee you, coach is going to make sure you got your tights. Because this is what people don't understand that may be commenting negatively against coach. Coaches always want their players to be in a comfortable space.
Every time.
So they can perform to their highest level.
No question.
Yeah, no coach is going to sabotage himself. That's ridiculous.
Especially in college.
Right.
When you already on the hot seat as soon as you sign the contract.
Yes, and he's on the hot seat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because especially since he didn't get DeJuan Wagner Jr.
Right.
That was what they were banking on. But
right.
it's tough because we know that sometimes some people who will comment are players. And so some players really, their confidence that they have is based on a coach. Whether some guys are guys that they're watching their coach's mannerisms after they've made a mistake. Right? We got players like that here. As soon as they do something, they're looking exactly at us to see how we're going to react, right? Mm-hmm. And that dictates how they will perform or how they'll work because they don't have as much confidence as they should, right? And so sometimes when I can see when somebody is saying, "Hey, that's messed up," blah blah blah. But the other part is that you guys only see the press conference at the end of the game.
Yep.
And 9 times out of 10, there's been a conversation. There's been habits that's been built. There's been times where coaches have been like, yo, like, you got to do this, you got to do that. That's just a sign of mental toughness and resilience. And when you talk about sometimes going to work and not having what you need, a lot of the times those things that we have become our crutch. We didn't need them in the beginning to do it. It just made things a little bit easier. And so we don't want to go around to that other side again, but get this shit done.
Man,
get this shit done.
Every generation that's coming next has it a little bit better than the one before.
As we should, right?
And yeah, as it's supposed to be, right? But we go too far with the extremes, you know what I'm saying? And so people don't understand, you don't have your tights. Well, there was a time when people wore jock straps.
And that shit whack.
You know what I'm saying? It's terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, we've evolved, but sometimes you may not get the Mercedes.
Right.
You may get the 2023 Jack. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta make it work for now.
Yeah. So
come on, man.
I mean, they'll get it together. Because they got no choice to. But that's just an interesting play. And so that's something that gives, a great insight on what the era is like, right?
Yep.
But I want to get into something else that's going to lead the talk for the next probably 20 minutes right here.
Scoring is completely out of control, and it's officially a problem. I like offense too, but this has gone too far. The Pacers lead the NBA with 126 points per game, and the Blazers are last with 104. Get this though, if it were 2003, the Blazers would be leading the league. The Mavs were the high scorers that year at 103, and the year isn't a coincidence. 03 was the last year the NBA allowed the hand check, and it was a very different time. It seems hard to believe now, but the NBA was not doing well financially post Michael Jordan, and they needed a way to make the game more exciting. Fast forward 20 years, and the league is filled with extremely talented perimeter players. Look at it this way, from 91 to 04, only 4 guys managed to average 30 points per game, and there's 4 guys averaging 30 plus right now. Again, I like offense, but it's more valuable and meaningful when it's harder to come by. Anybody who likes college ball knows what I mean. The time has come for the NBA to allow their guys to play physical D again, and while they're at it, Adam Silver should tell the refs to blow the whistle 20% less. I'm Fred Mickle-Smith, and that's my take. NBA scoring is completely out of control, and it's
all right. So, Snipes, do me a favor while we start talking, and look up last night's high scores, all the high scores from last night, and then from there, look at the high scores for the season so far. Okay? All right. So, King, there we have it. Right now, the NBA is scoring at a record pace. Right. And I've said it before here about how a lot of the scoring and averages is like inflation with everything else. It kind of, it goes my way. So it's kind of like a little bit hype, right? It's a little bit easier. And so let's go ahead and talk about that segment there. I mean, I don't even know. It's my brain right now is going crazy and crazy and crazy. There's so much that I feel like I need to say because they open up a can of worms right there. But we'll just talk about that space right there and there.
Well, of course, there's going to be pushback because people are going to say, well, older guy always going to think that the older generation of basketball is better. But it's just tougher to score when someone can be physical with you. That's just the reality of it. Of course, all the moves are nice. You want to see them. They look good on the highlight stuff. The visuals are better. But you can't tell me that it's not tough to score if somebody can physically hand check me and guide me where they want to go. Yeah. And depending on that person's physicality, I mean by their strength, the size of their hands, the length of their arms, their jumping ability, their height, that determines a lot on how you're going to have to score.
Now, let me make sure I bring this up, because if you don't play basketball and haven't played basketball, and a lot of people haven't played in that type of space, they'll think that hand checking is really just fouling.
Right.
And so they'll think that somebody is trying to jam you at the line like a quarterback, and they got both hands on you, right? That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even really put a forearm on anybody and do anything now.
Right.
Like,
it's a technique. And the reason I say is because, remember, in the NBA, you only get 6 fouls. Yeah. So it's 48 minutes. So if you're a guy that plays heavy minutes, you can't just go out there and hack somebody, because then you're going to be on the bench. So you got to know, how to disguise it, and get away with it. You know what I mean? And so it is a technique, and it's a technique that people like Gary Payton, one of the best defenders, on-ball defenders of all time, he definitely perfected. And it's just hard to look at the scoring now sometimes, because you're, as a basketball purist, someone who likes watching the game, you're saying that's just too easy. Yeah. And then and then here's the casual fan. We get into a playoff situation and your team loses, and then someone scores on your team and we say, oh, that guy's trash. No, that's just the way the game's played right now. Yeah. So if your guy's matched up with Kyrie or Luka or whatever, he has no chance in hell of stopping him. None. So what are you supposed to do?
Key thing that he talked about, right? And everybody likes to point this out. He said the 03 year is when hand checking was last used, right? Average scoring was 103. And I also want to point out that during those times when it was hand checking, and it was during that era post MJ, Kobe was still averaging 29 to 30. And that was in a league that was only averaging 103 points, right? Yep. And so that says a lot about what type of scorer that guy he was, and T-Mac and all those guys. And Bron is from that era too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? KD, and which is why they can still play 25 years if they want to. But I want to emphasize what he said, right? Because he talked about marketing push, right? Yep. He said that the game had to become more better and easier to watch. And so the NBA decided, hey, we got to score more points, because post MJ, we're not getting the views that we want.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's a business.
Yeah, and I'm looking at that, and I'm like, that's a hell of an excuse. It's a hell of an excuse. Is it because right now you got a lot of star power, right? You got a lot of star power, but
why?
But I say this though, what makes Mike and MJ? What made MJ and what's his name? Dennis Rodman, Gervin, Magic. What made them such huge stars? It was their play on the court too, but you can't negate the fact that they had charisma. Like, they made themselves so much more marketable because they were different from everybody else, right? And so they were able to be the cream of the crop. They rose to the top, and then they had something that you can tell, you can push a story to a certain space. During that era in between, I guess you could say the NBA didn't look as good. It was more so about them trying to change the image, change and get things a little bit more cleaner and still true. But they didn't have that it guy that they had been waiting for. But I don't want to blame it on the style of play as much.
Yeah. Okay, so it's two things. All right, you talk about style of play. The guys you mentioned can play either way. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because you mentioned Magic. Magic was in the Western Division, right? Yeah. The West was known for scoring. The Denver Nuggets, like putting up points. You know, of course, the number was, the total was a little bit lower than now, but the West was known for run and gun. The
Yeah.
East Coast was more grit and grind, slow down, half court offense, whatever. And those guys could adapt to each.
Yeah.
Well, we get now into playoff situations, and we have people talking about, the day after the game, well, what happened to this guy? What happened to this guy? And we say, oh, he disappeared, or he's not as good as we thought he was. No, he's just having a hard time adjusting to a change in play because now it's the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so now coaches are slowing things down.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's a little more attention to detail in terms of the players and the schemes. And so now, instead of you having to go through option 1 and option 2, now you got to go through option 1, 2, 3, and 4 to win a game.
Yeah.
And so it's not the player's fault. It's the overall style of play that we have during the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one issue. The second issue is this. All right. What happens when you pay somebody probably a little more than they're worth?
Mm.
You get an unrealistic view of your true value, right?
Yeah.
And so you think about it. If you are on a team and say you have one good year, you average 14. But that 14 points got you $80 million, right?
Guaranteed.
You don't care about your off the court persona.
Yeah.
You don't give a damn.
Yeah.
But you think about you named Magic, you named Bird, you named Jordan, those guys. You got to think. Magic's biggest contract at that time was groundbreaking. It was $1 million a year for 10 years.
Yeah.
Think about that. That's Magic Johnson in LA, right?
Yep.
And so those guys had to do things off the court to make themselves more money. You know what I'm saying? Of course, they had the the personalities to go with it anyway. But I'm saying, their image was more important because no one wanted to lose money.
Yeah.
They wanted to make more money. Now you make so much, you don't care what you don't care what the media outside the NBA thinks of you.
So this is where it's like, I think it's creating a huge divide in basketball itself, right? We talk about hip hop all the time, and we talked about how hip hop now, it has a lot of the old heads, right? And I don't even just say only old heads. I think people, right now I'm 31, so anybody that is, I'll say 31 and older, right? Maybe 30 and older, you have a certain preference and taste for music, right? Because we got to get Cole, Wayne, Hove, Jeezy, a little bit of everybody, Ludacris, everybody in their prime, right? And then we also, because we got those guys in their prime, we also got to do some revisionist history, right? I fell in love with AZ. I saw his special ed stuff, you know what I'm saying? I learned about the firm, Capone and Noriega, you put me on Smith and Wesson and a bunch of other different people. And so we got to grow up in the middle of all of that, right? And then now we also got the new age stuff to where we grow up with tech, so we know how to find music and how to get to what we want and what we like. And then there's the other group that comes after that to where all they know is the tech era of music. They didn't have any CDs. They didn't have a CD book. They didn't have a radio. They didn't have to go in there and listening to the radio at your uncle's house, and he had the same station on there. If you messed up, you're in trouble. So the music history, the music field is different. Now basketball is starting to get to that same thing, right? We talk about how kids don't play outside. We talk about how kids don't play by themselves without trainers anymore. We talk about how every court outside is empty. We talk about how nobody can play into an open gym unless it's controlled, invite only. No cameras allowed, this and this and that, right? And now we're in that era to where also kids are learning through highlights, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube shorts, reels. They're learning from Instagram people, YouTube people who've never really done anything, or they only put videos out based on what is good, what looks good, right? So they don't see the full process of stuff. And so it's a highlight culture, right? And so it reflects what it is at the top. And so now when we look at our players and we say like, yo, Zach LaVine, great athlete, but dumb as a box of rocks on the court, right? And so, we got a big jet flying over the roof over here. And so now we look at the game and we looking at it like, we can tell that kids, certain players aren't as good as they should be, and they haven't progressed because they don't understand the nuances of the craft. They're not studying. They're not taking their game to the next level because it's only been about running, jumping, and dunking, right? And that's what we're saying. That's what the people want to see. But right now, people are tired of seeing all that because it's like, yo, you haven't taken it nowhere else. You haven't shown us what makes us look at a player like Kobe, like KD, like people who come out of nowhere, like Jimmy Butler. All those guys have gotten so much better. We can see their genius over the years because they studied at the craft. But we don't see that anymore because it's not incentivized to do that.
Well, you mentioned Zach LaVine, and he's not dumb by any means. It's just that who does he have to look up to that's going to hold him accountable? You see what I'm saying? It's a day-to-day process. Like he's a young. At one point he was a young star, rising star in the league. Now he's kind of plateaued a little bit, right? But that's because the structure of the Chicago Bulls is trash.
Well, in the league, because there's no vets, right? We talk about it. Rasheed Wallace and all them talk about it too.
There's no vets, right? And then the vets that you may have, right?
Only 2 years older than you.
May not be as old, or the guys that are maybe, say a Jeff Green, right?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people aren't going to view Jeff Green as that big brother figure on the team because they're looking at the yearly salary.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Jeff Green is a bad MF if y'all don't know.
Yeah.
But if you're a young kid and you're making double him, you're not listening to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you don't have the structure above him, head coach, assistant coaches, general manager, team president, backing him, Jeff Green is useless on your team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because he can give you a lot more than just what he does on the court.
Yeah.
He can help you in the locker room and things like that.
And just so we're clear, Jeff Green probably does demand the respect, but we're just using that name so that you guys understand, because some of you guys are taking it literal. But Jeff Green probably get in that locker room, get some love. But there's a lot of guys that don't have the resume Jeff Green got.
Right.
Who Jeff Green goes, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Jeff Green dunk on everybody, been there since Supersonic days, came in with KD, Georgetown star, and all that.
He's a bad MF.
Yeah, but there's not a lot of Jeff Greens that can fill a role like that. And so you don't get that love. You see how the internet treat Udonis Haslam.
Right.
But he's the vice president of development, basketball development at Miami now.
And why was Udonis allowed to give more to the team beyond his playing years? Because of the structure of the Miami Heat. And that's what I'm saying. So a guy like Zach LaVine is the victim of circumstance.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, he is one of the younger generational players, and so it's a different mindset. But look where you land. It's like we talk about, you can get drafted. What's the guy's name from France? Wembanyama.
Go to the Spurs or the Wizards.
Yeah. that would change everything right there.
Exactly.
Because that's why I always tip my hat to LeBron, because LeBron is the only superstar I've seen that can go to Cleveland and turn them around.
Yeah, and he had to control everything from
Cleveland.
top to bottom too.
So come on, man.
Yeah.
They're just a victim of circumstance, and it's like I said, everybody that's complaining isn't so much the younger generation because they don't know.
Yeah,
it's the guys who have seen multi generations of NBA. Right? They're the ones complaining, but you're the guys in control. And, there's going to have to be a point where you say, you know what? We understand we want to just sell ratings. But what about the quality of our product?
Man.
Because eventually it'll come down a little bit anyway if you don't pick up the level of the product.
And to be honest, the way the NBA is now, if you tone it back and control the referees, right? Because the referees are
out of control. And we know why.
Yeah.
This is why. I've said this, my boy Matt Day he definitely will comment and say, we've argued about this for 20 years. You can't have 3 people or 4 people. I think it's 3, right? Three on the court, 1.
Yeah.
Right?
And then you got the satellite.
Right. So you cannot have 3 to 5 people managing $1 billion on the court at once. When you talk about both teams and coaching staff, right? And those individuals on the court make less than $500,000.
Yeah, what are the referee salaries in the NBA? Yeah.
And when I say $500,000, under $500,000, I'm thinking of when I looked it up years ago.
Yeah.
Hopefully it should be close to $1 million now. But I'm just saying they have a tough job to do because managing these athletes in this space and at the speed that everything's going, that's tough, man.
But they're refereeing more than 82 games a season.
Right.
Because the 82 games, how much each team plays.
Yep.
Right? Average of 180,000 to 550,000. So if you said that was what you looked up a few years ago, and since then the salaries haven't done nothing but increase.
Right. And so, well, that was for what? That was the top end, 500,000, right?
Yeah.
When I looked in, I was taking the highest paid referees.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. They're still well under $1 million.
Yeah.
So your job is it's like you go in, you're hedge fund manager. You're managing a hedge fund of $5 billion.
Yeah.
But you're making $150,000.
Yeah.
Nah,
that ain't happening.
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
And
doesn't work like that.
And the tough part about it is guys like Donahue and Scott Foster and a lot of these other assholes that are refs, they're making it even harder for people to fight for you guys to get more.
Yeah.
Right? And then those guys are the people, and then that's a result of everything else because they've been assholes.
Right.
Well, I think Scott Foster's just an asshole anyway. But some of those other guys are doing things because I'm not getting a piece of the pie.
Well,
I'm getting treated like the bottom of the shoe.
So that's what I'm saying. Like I think Scott Foster is just an asshole.
Yeah.
But I'm saying those other guys,
Yeah.
you think about this. What's my man? Scribb, right? You know, Hoop Ed.
Yeah.
You know, big time company in DC.
Shout out to Scribb.
You know, I've known Scribb for a long time. When he first started, I was with him. And there was one particular program we had called the Palisades. And every summer for about 4 or 5 years, he would ask me, JK, will you please go and officiate those games? I need somebody. I said, no.
No.
Because I know, one, I can't take the disrespect from a player, a coach, or a parent over a a missed call, or maybe 2 minutes. I don't have time for that, right? And I know how I would react. I said, I would leave a black eye on the company. I said, I'll go down there, I'll do the award ceremonies for you. I'll go down there and manage certain things. I can't go officiate. I've never officiated an official game in my life because I know what will happen. So you think about it. If you're one of the guys that truly want to officiate on that level and you're doing the best job you can and you're doing, you're calling games as fairly as possible. And then you have somebody, I'm not talking about, say, KD coming up to you and cursing you out. I'm talking about, Dylan Brooks, Jordan Poole coming up to you and just laying you out. I'm like, really? Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. You want to play?
Yeah.
I got you. You just, you know what I'm saying? And so it makes sense why the referees are tripping the past few years because they don't get paid anything.
Yeah. And that is important. That is definitely important within this stuff because everybody is eating.
Yeah.
Everybody is eating.
And that's, again, that is the problem with the higher ups in the NBA. You're supposed to make sure the people who manage the product get paid accordingly. Because the casual fan doesn't know this. When, and this is on lower levels, of course, when playing in Europe, South America, even the minor leagues in the U.S., when we have a game, before the game, we're warming up, the refs warm up.
Yeah.
We go in the training room, we get taped up, they get taped up.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I've seen referees tape themselves up.
Yeah.
After a game, you might go into the locker room and you're in the ice tub, referee's right next to you.
Yeah. And they gotta get on the plane to get to the game because they gotta do back-to-backs and things.
And they're not traveling the way the Indiana Pacers travel.
Don't have the same diet, don't have the same those chefs, none of that extra stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
So my boy Matt used to always argue, say they shouldn't get paid them. I said, why not?
That don't even make sense. especially when you just look at the product, right?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, even some of the people personnel-wise that work around the league don't get paid as much as people would think they would to help things out. But now to bring that in, because I think that comes in play with the style of play, the marketing, what people like to look at. Now let's talk about the NBA scoring right now, King.
Okay.
This is the top 15 in scoring. 33.1, 31, 31, 30, 30, 30, 29, 28, 27, 27, 27, 26, 26, 25, and 25. At the top 15 in scoring in the league right now, you got you got 6 people averaging 30. You got another 7 people averaging over 25. And then just last night's, right? Last night's highest scores, 50, 49, 42, 40, 32, 31, 30, and 30. Right? And these are guys that, you have your moments where a guy like Cam Thomas will go off for 45. Some other random people will go off for 30 off the bench and stuff like that. And this is where we'll say it's like, all right, now we're kind of getting away from the basketball art part, because everybody is not a scorer. Everybody is not somebody that no matter who you put in front, they'll find a way to get to a bucket, right? And again, too, you talk about a guy like Levine and everybody else. When you got resistance, when you've reached a certain level and you got to fight through it, that makes you develop as a player. Do we get MJ the way MJ is in his final form if you don't have that era of bad boys, the Celtics and everything else?
Nope.
Do you get Isaiah Thomas if he's not in the middle of the Celtics, Lakers, Bulls times? Do you get any of those things if those things are not there? No. You got to have it. You got to have some sort of resistance there. And so I want to see something change, man. And so hopefully it gets in there, because that's crazy, King. Like, there's some people that probably feel like, hey, if I get into it right now, I can get some of those buckets back too. I can average 12 points.
Yeah. Well, again, it's so much space, and people say that's the way the game must be played. Not so much and the reason we know is that that's not true is because in the playoffs, things change.
Mm-hmm.
And we got guys guarding perimeter players. I mean, bigs out on the perimeter in the regular season now that shoot 20%. Why are you guarding him?
Man.
What? That doesn't make sense.
Man. It's all backwards. And then, right now, you know who the number 1 team in the West is? Minnesota. That's 17 and 4.
Rudy and them.
Rudy. But look, though, they got 3 7-footers that they play together, right? They rotate between Naz Reid, who's right here, Rudy, and Karl Anthony Towns. And then, of course, we got the dog Ant-Man, who's taking his step forward, too. And so they just wiped San Antonio. But, we cannot talk about this, though, King, because I know this is it's your favorite guy. Udoka got at Bron. Udoka got at Bron a little bit, gave Bron some energy. How you feel about it?
You're a head coach. You don't need to say anything to the other opposing team's star player. And if the players are jawing at each other on the court, let them talk to each other. You just keep quiet unless the other coach says something to you, or there's a situation where you feel like you need to protect one of your players, and it looks worse when you used to match up against LeBron.
But Stephen A. talked. Did you see Stephen A. talk about it?
No.
Stephen A. brought up the point that LeBron walked over to Udoka. If you see LeBron walked over there, and then that's when he told LeBron, stop bitching all the time.
Listen, it doesn't matter if he walked over. We don't know if he said anything to Udoka, and you're the head coach, man.
Man, I seen Stan Van Gundy. Jeff Van Gundy. I seen what the head coaches used to do back in the day. They used to get out there and put paws on people when they get ready to fight. Man.
First of all, any Van Gundy you saw putting paws on somebody is false. That's Photoshop. He got mollywopped when he tried to get in there and break up that fight.
He stepped out there, though.
Yeah, he stepped out there, but
he'll never do it again.
That was a physical altercation. Yeah. So he was trying to. We talking about you're standing there, going back and forth with the player and knowing your situation.
But again, they were chilling though, because this is another place where the referee did a little bit too much. He ain't had to walk over there. It was a casual conversation. It looked like if nobody is recording and looking at it, you ain't gonna look at it like it was beef.
But that's the point. Everything that goes on the court, there's a million cameras in there.
Yeah.
You know, That's like, for example, if this was 30 years ago, it'd be different because there's dead spots in there with the cameras.
Yeah.
Not now.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
They ain't say nothing. They ain't say nothing. They still ain't say nothing bad. They said stop being soft.
We don't even know everything they said though. So
They said,
bottom line is, you are the head coach, and you got some baggage with you, some recent baggage. Yo, don't. Ooh, what? Yo. All right. I'm saying don't put a black eye on the second opportunity you got. Because opportunities for us are limited.
Yeah. They say Udoka good though, man.
All right.
I like it. Udoka, go do your thing, baby. But as Kenyon Martin said, Kenyon Martin was like, look, you should have got the Dylan Brooks first. You going back and forth with Udoka, you should have got the Dylan Brooks first. But also be careful what words you choose. Because sometimes you got to stand on business, as they say, man. But King, that's it though for today, man. That's it for today.
No, we're not it exactly, because I do want to address the fact that during the music portion, you were talking about us and the button downs.
Oh yeah,
we call them button ups.
Let me find that picture of Joe Smith, because Joe Smith's still wearing it, so I want to make sure you understand.
Well, we are older, because if you think about it, this is universal. And I noticed this when I was traveling all around the world. It's universal for any male over the age of 35 just going out on a casual night or a semi-dress-up night. You put on a button down, throw on some jeans and some shoes, and you straight. It's universal.
Yeah.
That's a universal uniform.
Yeah, but everything ain't the same, right? And so if I can find this Joe Smith interview, and shout out, hey man, there we go. This the picture that I needed right here.
Yeah, he's okay.
That's last week.
He's okay. He's okay. Listen, I can point out to about.
Look at them cheese. Look at this thing. With the
All right. I'm just saying, but that's,
Hey man. Hey, look, that's what I say though. Y'all had some fun doing that.
Because like I said, at least you kind of had an idea of where we were headed. Y'all right now, I don't know.
I know y'all, man. That's them.
Yeah, no,
That's
I've
them.
seen
That's
you
them.
too sometimes where I'll be
them.
like, that's questionable.
No, you ain't.
That's questionable. Do I see a rainbow on the horizon?
No, you did not. That's
right.
funny, man. Listen, man, this is BTG Nation. You guys know how we ended up, man. We got, hey, Snipes, you okay, man? We ain't check in on Snipes, did we? Snipes, everything all right?
We ain't check in.
Yeah, last episode was exhausting. We ain't know we got to give him a little break from that. Everything all good. People going to be checking in to make sure you all good now. They worried about you. Yeah, he good. Yeah, he got the motorbike pants on. We'll get him right, though, man. So, OG, I got to find my post-game wrap-up. You got yours ready?
Yeah. So this comes from a coach that I was speaking to last night. He's actually a part of our Hoop Mountain family. He's overseas, just like us, away from home. And a really good friend of his just passed away the other day. And he's in a situation where, he spoke to the guy just before it happened. And so he's probably the last person to speak to him. And he's going through a real tough time right now because the distance, you know what I mean? Not just the just losing your love, someone that you're real close to, but not being there, mind, body, and spirit, and being close to the family. So, and we were talking about it. He had, of course, like all of us, when we're away and something happens, you have some self-guilt. I kind of, I had this situation when my brother took his life. And so I said, I know you want to go. His family knows that you would want to be there, but you just feasibly can't do it right now. And he's looking down upon you right now saying, I understand and I know where your heart is. And so he said something to me that I said, I'm going to write this down right now and put it on my wall. He said, it's good that we could talk about this because you're the closest person to me to talk about this right now. And even though we're in different countries, but he said, it's about buying into life, man. And I was like, buying into life. And I started thinking about it. I was like, he's absolutely right, and it's buying into whatever the moment is and relishing the opportunity to be with friends and family and enjoying the moment, because you just never know when it's going to be taken from you. And so buying into life is how I'm trying to go forward with everything that I do, just because this could very well be the last breath that I take, the last sight that I see, last time that I hear something, last time I get a chance to interact with somebody. And I want to make sure that I make the most of that.
Yeah.
So buying into life, man, that's mine.
So that's a heavy one. Man. It's a reality, right?
Yeah.
It's reality. And it's one that we're all going to meet.
Yep.
Yeah, everybody's going to meet. And so I'm going to end mine with a quote. And last part, I think I mentioned that we were busy. And somebody told me that busy was good. But then you get times where you need to reflect on what busy means, right? And so here's a quote. Being busy isn't the same as being productive. Those few moments you take to develop clarity ensure that your busy life is in accordance with your larger purpose. I think we learn it as athletes too, that we can be efficient and get more done if we're working hard and focused within an hour than somebody who's been in the gym for 3 hours, right? And so with the way work is and business is and life is, a lot of times people just want to be caught up in saying that they're doing a lot. And a lot of times we can really finish things if we're all locked in, complete it within 2-3 hours, and have the rest of the time to dedicate to other stuff. But it's about being efficient with your time and understanding busyness and productivity is not the same thing. And so make sure you take some time to reflect on that, because the chances are if you're feeling overwhelmed, there's an adjustment that needs to be made. And if you just look back at what's going on with you, how you're doing your daily habits and how things are going, you probably can make that fix easy. And so don't let being busy confuse you with being productive. And so, as always, Hoop Mountain Dubai, Hoop Mountain DXB, Hoop Mountain.ae, BTG Nation, like, comment, subscribe, share. We're all over the place. We're easy to find. Get with us. We've been growing, and we're going to continue to grow. And so, as always, you guys know, keep it real, keep it simple, and keep going.
From player King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. Ball is life, and that's a fact. And a baller's life, about that exact. King and Yates, they bridging the gap. From the US to Dubai, put pins on the map. There's a time to score and a time to assist. Ain't no I in team, let the winning commence. From generation to generation, game don't stop. The new and old school got the game on lock. It's all legendary, it's all necessary. We all been all-stars before February. And after that, King and Yates, after racks. But really trying to get some wins, not just padding stats. 2 basketball lovers through happenstance. Built a bond that led to greatness that advanced. From player